Hey guys, welcome to another ramble. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are enjoying this beautiful day, and let's get into the topic. Um, yeah, I just got off the phone with my mother. We have the most profound conversations. Like, we like to delve deeply into subject matter, which is very satiating to me. Um, what were we talking about? There was a couple of things that we were talking about that were just like super interesting, and I'm like, I should probably make a video on that. Hmm. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, honestly, is people who are jealous of you. Have you encountered people who are jealous of you? Like, for me personally, like, being jealous is pretty foreign because for me, I, one, don't want what someone else has. And if I do like what someone else has, then I'll put in the effort that I need to in order to get that, you know? Like, I don't just like get jealous, like, oh, how come you have that and I don't? No, I just be like, oh my goodness, like, where'd you get that from? Or how'd you attain that level of mastery? Like, and then I'll like go and like put forth the necessary effort to like also like, I don't know, acquire such things, I don't get jealous. In fact, I like to celebrate people. Like, for instance, whenever people win, like, or they succeed at something, or they overcome something, or they acquire something, I like get really excited for them. And I don't know, I guess for me that's natural, but for others that's not natural, and that really baffles me. Like for instance, I'll give you a good example. So my coworker just went on a vacation, and I don't know, like for me, I'm really like interested in traveling because I like to explore and like you know experience new things. So like when I found out she was going on her vacation, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited." And then she was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Oh." I'm like, "I don't know, because you're going to go somewhere and it's going to be fun. You're going to have new experiences, and I don't know, I just can like I know how that feels, so I just feel happy for you." But yeah, at first she was like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Oh, why not?" Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I am like I really get excited for people. Like, genuinely. I genuinely get stoked for people's wins. But I've noticed like it's not really reciprocated, and I was kind of like in fact I noticed like people, and I'm not trying to like talk myself up in any way, shape, or form, but I noticed people like since I was a child, I have a tendency to attract jealousy, which is weird because like for me, I don't really talk about myself because I'm pretty private. Like, you'd have to really get to know me, and I'd have to feel comfortable for me to like talk about, like, I don't know, the things I've done or the things I've like overcame, and you know what I mean. Like, I don't really talk myself up. I don't see the need to. Also, I don't know. I'm pretty quirky, or so I've been told. Like, people said that, like, like the people that I've encountered in the past, they say like they remember me because I'm bubbly, and I guess I'm pretty quirky or eccentric. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm like I have my own unique style, but or like I don't know the way I approach the world. I don't know, but and I don't even know if that's a compliment, honestly. But I do. I just kind of like I said, I just kind of like dance to the beat of my own drummer, and I don't really pay attention to what's going on around me, honestly. But if I do see something beautiful, I like to like point it out, and I like to tell people, like, I like to, I don't know. And I don't think it's a people pleasing thing. I just literally, if I recognize beauty in something, I'm going to speak up on it. So, like, like, I have no problems giving people compliments. Like, it could be somebody I know or a complete stranger. And I will totally, if I see something beautiful in them, whether it be something they're wearing or just their energy or just the way they, like, I don't know, handle things in general, I have no problems, like passing on compliments. I've noted that, like, yeah, I have compliments occasionally, but I note, like, the people that I interact with the most don't know how to compliment. And I don't know. At first, I would take it personally, but then I was just like, oh, I see. So, one of the conversations I had with my mom today had to do about jealousy and why we attract jealousy. And yeah, I was like trying to understand that. I was like, why do we attract jealousy? Because by all means, dude, I think you know, I'm not like a fucking model, okay? I don't think there is anything extraordinary about the way I look, but I think it's my energy. I think it's my energy, honestly. But yeah, like like you know what I mean? I don't know. It's weird. I don't really think I don't think highly of myself, but I don't put myself down either. I just kind of like I don't know. Always kind of like in a neutral point where like I'm either lost in thought, like in deep contemplation, or I'm just like having fun, enjoying the moment, you know? And I'm constantly like looking for cool things, like I don't know, things that like make me smile. And there's simple things too, like bird song, or like you know my chimes blowing in the wind, or like a butterfly, or my plant that produced a flower today. I'm like, oh my god, it produced a flower. Dude, like it doesn't take much to make me happy, honestly. um where was I going? Okay, so people, they get jealous. So I was talking to my mom because we were trying to unravel it. And like, why do people get jealous, you know? And I told my mom my situation, how like for most of my life I've encountered a lot of people who have sent the evil eye towards me, or like they've been jealous in some way, shape, or form. And I think you know, like jealousy doesn't have to be spoken. It's certainly felt though, you know. And sometimes you can see it through people's like subtle like facial like I don't know, expressions, or their body, or the way they act towards you. But it's mostly energetic, like it's mental, like it's a mental attack, you know? And honestly, I've never really brought this up with anyone before because I just didn't want people to think I sounded conceited or something, because that's really not what I'm not. I'm not conceited. I promise. I'm like the humblest, like most down to earth person that you'll meet. I promise to God. Um, so yeah, like just talking about someone being jealous kind of was like embarrassing for me. So like yeah, yeah, I told my mom about it and we were talking about it. Sorry, I'm rambling, but we kind of like talked on it, and she was like she's like telling me how like she thinks that my energy is explosive. And I was like, what? I go, what do you mean by that? Can you please elaborate so I can understand what you mean by that? She's like, you know, like when you enter the room, like your energy is like, wow. And I'm like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, what do you mean? Because I really, for most of my life, I've struggled with like understanding how people perceive me, you know, and I think it's open to interpretation depending on the person and the circumstances and the way they view life, you know, their perception of life. That's how they'll view you. But she was telling me that, you know, when somebody has that kind of energy, a lot of people see it and recognize it, and they don't understand like how you are that way and how you have that kind of effect, and they don't like themselves and they don't love themselves. So instead of looking at themselves, they'll look at you and they'll like kind of like send like that jealous energy in your direction. Am I making sense? So basically, it's coming from a place of low self worth and lack. You know, like a lack mentality, like, and comparison and competition, because you're in a state of lack. Because I think if you're in a state of abundance, like you're not really competing with anyone. You know, you don't feel like you're lacking in anything. So there's no reason to compete or compare. And that's how I operate. Like I don't see the reason to compete or compare. I feel like we're all in this together and we're all trying our best to do our best. And why not help each other out? But I guess not everybody functions from that headspace, and they come from a place of lack. And my mom was telling me, like, she thinks it has a lot to do with their upbringing or their age. Like, she said, like, maybe the generational gap. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's generational, because I've had, people who are, like 9 years old, dude. And then I could have, like, a full on philosophical conversation with, like, a 9-year old. And then I can meet, like, a fucking 60-year-old and they don't even know shit from shit, And I'm not saying that to be condescending, but I'm just trying to make a point. Well, my whole thing is, so the bottom line was, we figured out that it came from a place of lack and a lack of self-love, you know? And whenever you're coming from a place of lack, of course you're not living in an abundance mindset, you know? You're like always like, you're kind of like in survival mode versus thriving, you know? And so you're always looking out into the world at other people, at other things, and like kind of like, yeah, that's where like envy and jealousy kicks in, kind of, sort of. It's like, oh, how come she has something I don't have, or how come he has something I don't have, instead of like inquiring, going like, oh, whoa, where'd you get that, that's so cool, and then like working towards that. I don't know. And not only that, they're trying so hard to like be something else. Like for me, it's like, just be yourself, just be authentic, and like yourself, like be your own best friend, you know. And then also, I also was going back to like my mom saying it was a generational age gap thing. I'm like, I don't think that's what it is, I came to the conclusion that it has to do with somebody's emotional and spiritual maturity. Like I feel like people who are not as evolved in these arenas are like, still kind of in that learning process, and they don't know how to love themselves. They don't know how to get out of a lack mindset. They don't know any better, because they're not looking at themselves. They're looking at someone else. And then that person who's in an abundant mindset, or who's like walking sunshine, not only is shedding light on their demons and their shortcomings, um, and triggering them, it's also like making them like, where was I going with this? Dude, I do that. I'm pretty absent-minded. Kind of like an absent-minded professor. Um, which is where my quirkiness comes from, I suppose. Sure. Yeah. I guess that's why people are jealous. Dude, did I make sense? I feel like my mind was like going all over the place, and I don't know if like I actually like delivered the message clearly. Anyways, now that we know why people are jealous and envious, um, in fact, let's recap that. People are jealous and envious because they're living in a lack mentality. And when you're in a lack mentality, you probably don't love yourself. You have low self worth, low self esteem, and you probably, like, I'm not gonna lie, you probably just hate yourself. I'm just gonna be honest. That's why self love is so important. Um, and then when you're in a lack mentality, you are going to look at the world through a lens of competition, and you're going to want to compare yourself, like, and not in a good way. Like, compare yourself, like, oh, how come that person has something I don't have? And it's like, dude, do you realize how long it took me to get to this place of equanimity? Like, this was not a fucking cakewalk, okay? This is like lifelong journey, lifetimes long journey of self-reflection. This didn't come easy. To get to a place of equilibrium, and like I'm my own best friend, you know? It's like people like just look at like the freaking end result and think that, how can that person have, it's like, dude, you don't realize how much work somebody probably put into getting that. you know, and that's why I clap for people, and that's why I celebrate people, because I know that the journey can be hard. And you know, like when you overcome things and you acquire something that you've been kind of like um, wanting for some time, it's just like, yes, you know, I'm like so happy for people. um, oh, let's talk about how to deal with it. Dude, if you come across these people, man, I've been coming across them my whole life, dude. Like, seriously, it's like, there's nothing really you can do. I mean, you can't, like, I feel like when you try to, I mean, it's an awkward conversation to, like, I don't know, approach someone and talk about that without coming off like you're full of yourself. That's why people like talk about themselves a lot. You notice that? Like they like to talk themselves up. I don't really talk myself up honestly. In fact, I'm pretty clueless most of the time. But yeah, they like to talk themselves up to kind of like how do I say? Balance the insecurities that they actually feel inside. You know, that's why they need attention and validation. Facts, man, facts. I already made a video on this, so I don't feel the need to have to like re reopen that door. But can't really do anything. You just gotta let clowns be clowns and leave Clown Town. Yeah, you know they need to figure it out on themselves, for themselves, for themselves. Yeah, you're not responsible for how people like view themselves, you know. And I feel like sometimes when you like stoke them up, it just kind of like helps them feed the illusion. I mean, I'm still gonna stoke them up, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm not gonna stop being happy for people. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I feel like that's just a battle that they need to fight on their own, and you don't have to be a casualty of it. Just keep being yourself. You're a living example of what somebody wants to be. Oh, what's that sound? Maybe that's confirmation. That's confirmation. But yeah, just keep being yourself because you're a living confirmation of what people can be and want to be. And yeah, until they figure it out. Anyways, I am definitely not going to compete over that noise. So, sorry for this long ass video. If you've made it to the end, blessings to one and all. And take care of yourself. Amen.